Welcome to Delphine Circle in Harmonium, where conscious conversations spark transformation. I'm your host, Delphine Channels. Let's jump in. I am so excited to welcome our next guest, Jerry Sargeant, founder of Star Magic Healing and a frequency architect who's known for guiding people into profound multidimensional transformation. Through his own unique Star Magic methodology, Jerry blends breathwork, sacred geometry, holographic light, and high frequency codes to help people access their superhuman potential. His work blends quantum physics and advanced energy technology and has empowered thousands worldwide through activations, facilitator trainings, and live workshops. Today, Jerry joins us to share how humanity's next evolution will come through awakening sovereignty, frequency, and expanded consciousness. Oh my gosh, Jerry, we got a lot to talk about today. So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Delphine. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure.
Well, I know you are in Amsterdam and I'm in California, and we've been playing a little technical catch up. So I'm hoping everything's going to go smoothly, because I would love for you to kind of share. So for people who may be unfamiliar with you or unfamiliar with Star Magic, what should they know about your background for a basis of understanding for your guidance today?
2004, I was in a car crash, and up until that point, I didn't believe in anything spiritual. And I was in a taxi asleep. The taxi ran three ladies over, and the first one came through the windscreen, smacked me in the face, got flipped over the car, and died. When I got out of the car, I saw the lady's soul leave her body. So that was my glimpse into something beyond the physical form. And when you have some kind of experience like that, you can't unsee it. So I knew there was something more. So I started looking, I started searching, I started, meeting different people and exploring, I don't know, different techniques. I found a past life regressionist and just went into spirituality in different ways. And I feel that humans now are kind of locked in this program. But there are so many opportunities out there for people to explore spirituality or energetic work, or even if it's starting with something more simple like yoga or qigong, or just something that's going to connect you to your heart. It's going to create balance inside of you and just connect you to kind of like an energy that is still. And it's that stillness beyond the physical form that kind of opens up the pathway. So for us in Star Magic, for me, my whole team, we're traveling the world. We're running meditation groups, group healings. We do plant medicine retreats, which is why we're here in Holland right now. We have a 10-day retreat starting tomorrow. We train people with the Star Magic frequency. We have level 1, level 2, level 3 training. All of these retreats, trainings, they're all geared towards taking a human being from wherever they are and upgrading them. So I was saying that we're like biological computers, and people are running programs. If someone comes to me and says, Jerry, I've got liver cancer, I know that they've got anger and guilt issues. If someone comes to me and says, I've got an issue with my hip, I know they've got trust issues. If someone comes to me and says, I've got a neck problem, I know that they're very rigid. If someone comes to me and they've got a problem with their right eye, I know that they've got stuff that they need to deal with on their great-grandfather ancestral line. Like, the body is just a communication device, as well as being a biological computer and a musical instrument. So if someone comes to me with some kind of issue, I'm going to look into the back end of their computer system, just like a computer programmer would go into a laptop, look at the code, and then change the code and change the website on the laptop. We do the same thing with a body. The body is the laptop. All of their past life, present life, future life trauma, patterning, programming is the software that's on the laptop. And we just go in and change the code, just like a computer programmer would on a laptop. And when we change that code, by playing the right frequencies, the right tunes, by running the right light through the computer system, we clean up the viruses. We change the code, and the physical healing takes place on the front end. We've trained thousands of people in more than 85 countries now to heal with this frequency. And as you were saying earlier, the results are profound. People getting up from wheelchairs, their eyesight coming back, taking their hearing aids out, tumors, brain tumors disappearing. You name it, like whatever we've been facing as a bunch of facilitators, we've been able to facilitate the healing of so many people.
Well, it's really amazing. I haven't gotten to experience your work in person, but I've seen a lot of it online, and it really is just so incredible what you're doing. You know, we're in such a time of transformation right now on our planet, and I know this is something that you talk about. And from your vantage point, what does that look like, and where do you think we should be most focused right now?
I think every human being should be focused on themselves. There's nothing in the external world that can help anybody. We have to take a deep dive into our hearts. We have to get to kind of understand who and what we are. We're multidimensional beings having this human experience. This physical element of us is just such a small slither of what we are. But because most people are engrossed in their external reality, looking for things to make them happy, looking for things to save them, looking for things to fulfill them or make them whole, people are just chasing their tail, and they'll chase their tail till the end of time if they keep going down this road. The only way that anyone can really change is by going into your own self, your own heart, deep into these unconscious parts of you and getting to know yourself at a deep, deep level. And then when people do that, they can heal. When people do that, they can bring their dark and their light elements into equilibrium, into balance. So many people want to play around in the light and they want to avoid the shadows. But if you don't bring the light and the dark together, the shadow and the light, then no human being is ever going to be whole. You can't dismiss the shadow because the shadow is a part of you. And this spiritual community, a lot of it's all love and light and sunshine and rainbows. And we just have to focus on the love and focus on the light. But that's a trick. That's kind of like a psyops that so many people in this community have bought into. And what we have to do is to take the journey of the heart, which is the journey of the brave. And the heart isn't always pleasant. Love isn't always easy. Love is tough. And the journey of the heart is the journey of the brave, because it's going to take you on a road, on a mission to the deepest, darkest parts of your soul, as well as the most vibrant, electrical, beautiful parts of your soul. And you have to understand all of you, the whole spectrum. And when a human being goes in and does that, they can heal. They can become whole. They can operate from a space of wholeness. And when that happens, the frequency shift is huge. And that frequency shift, it turns on what I would call the signal. And every human being has a signal. And when your signal is like fully operational, functioning properly, you put this energy out into the field, and that energy, it dictates your whole environment, and the universe shows up for you in different ways. If you're running guilt patterns and rejection programs and fear programs, then the universe is going to show up in that way, and it's going to present to you all the things that you need to work on. And that in itself is a beautiful thing too, because those people that show up, those events that show up, they're mirrors and they're triggers showing you what you need to do and where you need to go, what you need to work on. But most people just blame and judge the people, the events, the circumstances, instead of being in deep gratitude and saying thank you for the mirror or trigger to show them where they need to look to heal. But ultimately, when our signal is correct, the universe is going to show up with flow. It's going to show up with ease and grace. It's going to show up with abundance. It's going to show up with beautiful relationships. And then that human being can engage in those. And then what will happen through those relationships, through the abundance, through the business, through whatever it is that they get involved in, there'll be new lessons. There'll be even deeper stuff brought up to the surface. And then the human being gets to deal with that and go to the next level. And it's about kind of stripping away the layers of the onion, going as deep as we can, as high as we can, and having a full human experience, enjoying all of the things in our external reality, but not doing them because we think they're going to make us happy. Engage in anything material, anything physical, because we want to have that kind of experience, but realize that happiness comes from within, joy comes from within. Everything is an inside job, and humanity has been duped into thinking that the external reality has the answers, but that's just going to keep them on a hamster wheel, going around and around, draining their energy, getting tired, going absolutely nowhere.
It's so true, and I feel like we're starting to get this message from every direction now, right? It's like there's no more hiding. All of the illusions are starting to bubble up, and we're really starting to see that this is the truth of all of that. Do you find that when you're working with people that you're seeing like a consistent, um, what is it that blocks people most from accessing their full frequency? Is there something that you see that is pretty consistent throughout most people?
I mean, first of all, most people don't even know that they can elevate to the levels the levels that are possible within their own human potential. I don't know what the percentage would be, but let's say it's 85%, maybe even 90% of the human population is still lost in the illusion. They don't even know that DNA activation is possible. They don't even know about healing their own trauma. They don't even know about past lives, future lives, the multidimensional world. They just think that, Netflix and McDonald's and going down the pub on a Friday night is where it's at. So there's a big part of humanity that won't even understand that there is something to even look at. And I'm not saying it is 90%. It could be 95, it could be 75, I don't know. But there's a large percent of the human population that is still asleep. So there's a lot of work to be done there. Now, there's a lot of people in this human world that are waking up. Again, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but those people still are playing around at the edges. They're teetering on the edge. They're looking, they're observing. They might go to a yoga retreat. They might go and do some kind of meditation, a little bit of plant medicine, and they might get glimpses into this stuff, but they're still teetering around the edges. For people to really shift, for people to really activate their full 12-strand template, they've got to commit to this as a lifestyle. So for me, star magic isn't just a healing modality. It is a lifestyle that everybody should live. So as well as the frequency, as well as the codes and the healing that we do to help other people heal and completely change and shift their lives, whether it's relationships, health, fitness, business, money, everything can be shifted and changed and amplified with star magic. But people have to wake up in the morning and commit to their life. For me, it's about getting up and doing your exercise, meditation, breath work, making sure that you're doing your intermittent fasting, 18 hours a day, eating the right foods, putting the right fuel into your body, making sure that your nervous system is healthy by getting good sleep and, resetting yourself. Qigong. I mean, there's so many tools that come into this star magic lifestyle, and it's something that everybody should adopt. And most people, they might do a little bit in the morning, they might do a little bit in the afternoon, but unless you're living and breathing and living from a state of presence and clarity, with focus on your goals and your dreams, focus on unity, clarity, precision, presence, all of these values that are so important, no one's ever really going to fully activate what they came to planet Earth to activate. I mean, in April this year, I hired the whole Giza pyramid for myself. I went into the King's Chamber on my own in the dark and collapsed my physical body into light. And I went through Stargate 9 to the Andromedan Galaxy. 2 years ago, I did the same thing and went through Stargate 12 out of this matrix. So as well as healing and activating these multi-dimensional parts of our architecture, it's the superhuman elements of it that really fascinate me. Like, what can we do with these human bodies? What can we do with this physical architecture? Because they're like spaceships. We've got all of this kind of light body architecture, our mental, physical, emotional bodies, like all these different parts of us. And when you really, really start to live the lifestyle, you kind of dissipate or diminish or completely exclude from your environment all of the frequencies that are going to mess you up. You start to elevate daily. And as you start to elevate daily, things just open up. The whole planet, the whole world, the whole multidimensional matrix opens up, and you get to speak to other beings. You get to travel to different places. You can bring your soul out of your body and go to another universe. Like, all of these things are possible. So this is the stuff that really fascinates me. All of the healing stuff is easy. Changing someone's biological computer, their mathematics, so their eyesight comes back, or they get up out of a wheelchair. This is like a walk in the park now. Like, we've perfected this recipe, and it just works. The other stuff is a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more tricky because there is so much that needs to take place to be able to activate your full 12-strand template, which really is a 13-strand template, not a 12-strand template, but that's a whole other story. But to do that, you need the right environment, you need the right mathematical codes, you need to be breathing correctly. Like there's so many bits and pieces you've got to bring in together. And it really isn't that easy because there's so many distractions to try and stop us do it. But we all have that potential. And for me, that's what I want to share with humanity. How to be able to take our body, phase it out of this reality field and phase it into another one. Telekinesis, bilocation, telepathy, levitation, all of these things are the things that fascinate me. And so by living the star magic lifestyle day in, day out, you get to operate at a different frequency. And those new frequencies of potential, those new dimensional fields are what make these things possible.
I'm just listening to you, and you make it sound like so amazing and so easy. And I'm sure people are listening going, okay, that is just next level. Can you explain how, how hard was it for you to get on that path? And is this something, I'm just concerned that people are listening going, I don't think I can do that. Like, but this is something everybody can do, right? You just have to open up your mind, and you have to be willing to change, and you have to understand that things are possible, and that it is doable, and start somewhere, right?
I mean, people always talk about their problems. You know, people say, well, I've had this life and maybe Jerry's special or Jerry's different. Well, when I came into this world, my mother was raped while she was giving birth to me by two men. Yeah, then she was physically tortured whilst she was giving birth to me. So I came out in a crazy way. I was taken away from my mother. I found her when I was 23 years old. I worked for a high-profile criminal organization in my teenage years, 20s, you know, drugs, guns, high-profile bank fraud. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I had a completely different life, but I turned it all around after a few experiences and went on this path. And now I travel the world, you know, training people and facilitating the healing of other people. So when people come to me and say, Jerry, I don't believe this, or Jerry, maybe you were just born with these gifts, Jerry this, Jerry that, I say, listen, bullshit. You know, I was in a completely different space, and now I'm here where I am now, and you can do it too. And we've trained people 6, 7, 8 years old to do this. We've trained people that are 98 years old. We've trained military personnel, policemen, ambulance personnel, stay-at-home mums, stay-at-home dads, lawyers, accountants, like you name it. We've trained people from all walks of life, from 85 plus countries, all continents, and there's no one that goes through this training and can't do it. Like the quantum field and quantum entanglement and holographic technology, they're all just kind of buzzwords. And people look at it and think, oh, this is really complicated. I'm never going to get my head around this. I dropped out of school. You know, I never used to understand all this stuff. They're great for marketing and, you know, they're great buzzwords. But honestly, it's just about your frequency. And what we do on the training is help people adjust their frequency so they become like a beacon of energy that just naturally facilitates the healing of other people by them just being the frequency and holding the right signal. So anyone can do it. Anyone can change. It doesn't matter who you are. And if you come to me and you say, oh, I had this problem when I was younger, or, you know, my wife left me, my husband left me. I mean, I was married for 17 years and I got divorced. I homeschooled my two children. Like, there's nothing that people can come to me and say, Jerry, this is my excuse. You know, there are no excuses. Everybody is able, everybody is capable. You just have to want to do it. And if you want to do it, you come to us and we'll show you the way. It's that simple.
So what does it look like after the training? Give me an example of what a good life would look like once you've, figured out how to get control of your frequency and started living a life of practice and consistency. What does life look like on the other side?
I mean, first of all, you shouldn't be working anymore because work becomes creation. Nobody should be getting up, you know, working a 9 to 5 and slaving away in this. It's not in this world, not the way that it is now. You know, there's so much opportunity for everybody, and everybody should be doing what they actually love. And if you're not doing what you love, you need to You know, grow a pair of balls and just say no to what it is that you're doing right now and take a step in the right direction. You know, you should be waking up like joy filled, you know, like a rocket ship waiting to leave a NASA space station for the moon or the sun, because you're so pumped about life. You just can't wait to wake up and get stuck in. When you're on the right frequency, you don't really want to sleep. You know, it's like, why would I want to sleep? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't sleep, because I do sleep and sleep is important. But if I could get away with not sleeping, I definitely would, because there's so much to do on this planet and so much fun to have and so many things to create that I just would want to be awake 24 hours a day, you know, every month, every year, just not sleeping, just doing stuff and fulfilling my mission. So after the training, once you start applying the tools, there should be no physical injuries. There should be no physical ailments. And if you do get them, you should be able to alchemize them in a heartbeat. You know, you should be able to go out and facilitate the healing of others. If someone has a broken bone, you should be able to heal it. If someone has a bent and twisted spine, you should be able to heal it. I mean, I was in California a couple of years ago, and we had a lady that had a bent and twisted spine, kyphoscoliosis. And I asked anyone in the audience if they'd like to come and heal it. And a 10-year-old boy from Hawaii put his hand up, the only one out of like 80 people. So we came to the front and I guided him, and it took about 40 minutes. He didn't even touch this lady, and her spine straightened. You know, she's had it for like 15, 20 years. And we've got all the doctor's notes, see the bent spine and the twisted spine and the straight spine afterwards. How is that possible? Because the young lad, he understood the frequency. He was running the right signal. He tapped into the biological computer of the lady he was working on and changed the code in the back end. Like, this is a 10-year-old boy. Anyone can do it. So when you've done the training, you can apply these skills and these tools to your business. You know, you can apply these tools and skills to your relationship. You can apply them to your health and your fitness, your longevity, your vitality. Like, you should be happy, healthy, like excited about life, and things like money and relationships should just flow. And if it's not, it just means you're not applying the tools correctly. Because everybody should be abundant, and there is so much wealth and abundance on this planet that it's just flowing to everybody's lives. So for me, it's just a full human experience once you've done the training. Apply the tools and everything will work. It's impossible for it not to.
And do you agree that we're getting a lot more support now energetically from the planet and from the cosmos to help us make this transition?
I don't really think anything, but what I know right now is that we are definitely getting more support from our celestial brothers and sisters, different planets, different star systems, as well as other beings on other planets, as well as other beings living in inner Earth and on other Earth planes that are in the other frequency bands surrounding and inside Earth. At the same time, there's also a lot of other stuff at play. You know, like as consciousness rises and the light increases, it also stirs up the darkness. And so the levels of corruption and what's the word for it? Like, I suppose the measures that the dark side are going to try and disrupt humanity, keep them in fear, whether it's wars, Palestine, Syria, bombs going off here, all sorts of crazy stuff is happening on the planet right now. We don't get to hear about a lot of it because they try and cover it up, but there's a lot of stuff happening on the planet that isn't so savory. But that is the game, and that is why we came to Earth, to navigate this process amongst the chaos, amongst the mayhem, to find our way back to our hearts, to realize that we're sovereign, that we're powerful, and that we don't need anything to come and save us. We've got all of the tools inside of us, all of the skills, all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom. And when people step in to their kind of Jedi empowered sovereign selves and then start to connect with other human beings on the same frequency around the planet, unity starts to amplify. We become unstoppable as groups, as communities, and as a sovereign human family on a global scale. But we still have to get a lot of people to wake up, but we're never going to get them to wake up. We can only lead and blaze a trail and hold the light and hold the frequency, and then they will catch on to that in their own time. And some people will kind of make it through this transition and some people won't. But there is definitely a huge shift taking place, but we've still got quite a lot of work to go. Like a lot of people say, we're moving from 3D to 5D, from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. You know, some people are talking about the sixth dimension, the seventh dimension, which is all great. At the same time, it's not like we're going to wake up tomorrow and everything's going to be all beauty and happiness and sunshine and rainbows and love. It's not going to be like that. You know, we've still got a lot of work to do. And as we go deeper on this own human journey, this evolutionary process, this path that we're navigating and walking down as individuals and as a collective, things are going to get a little bit more challenging. And I see 2026 next year as such a pivotal year. The energies are amplifying. And I think people are either going to fly next year or they're going to go deeper into the depths of despair. No one's going to stay the same next year. You're either going to fly or you're going to plummet. And that's because the energy shift is so huge. And a lot of people are prepared for it and they're going to ride the wave, and some people are going to get slaughtered by it. Either way is the way that it's supposed to be, but we can't change anyone else. All we can do is work on ourselves, or maybe work with the teams that we've got, keeping your inner circle tight and, you know, working together. I mean, our circle here at Star Magic is super tight. You know, we train together, we work together, we create together, we build together, we make money together, we win, we lose, we just have every experience together. And so wrapping an amazing team around you is absolutely mission critical. This isn't a journey that someone can go on their own. It's not a battle that anyone can fight on their own. What they've got to do is alchemize their inner structures, the dark and the light, get their mathematics, their blueprint activated, and then go out and find other sovereign souls, and then start to build communities, healing centers, new ways of operating on this planet through exchange, through bartering, you know. However we do that, I mean, there's so many different ways that we can do it. We need to create new money systems, and there's lots of people around the planet doing that right now. And as more people start to do it and those communities come together, we are going to create a new world. But there's still a long way to go. And there's going to be a lot of shocks for humanity over the next couple of years. You know, there's going to be a lot of devastation. There's going to be a lot of manipulation. And there's going to be some darkness. And we have to stick together. We've got to stay grounded. We've got to stay present. And we've got to stay focused on our own mission. And regardless of what happens in our external environment, keep our heart open and keep our frequency really high. And don't let anything in our external experience disturb our inner reality.
I could not agree more with you, Jerry. I feel like we are coming into some very interesting and transitional times, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this summit and start talking about how to prepare ourselves. And we've had a lot of amazing speakers talking on that subject. One of the words that we're hearing a lot of these days is the word sovereignty. I feel like I didn't hear that word my whole life, and now all of a sudden I can't get through a conversation without hearing the word sovereignty. Why do you think this concept of sovereignty is so crucial right now?
I mean, humanity has been in slavery for millions of years. Beings have been in slavery for billions of years, even trillions. If you go through our galactic incarnations, you know, we've been here on planet Earth for a very, very, very long time, hundreds of millions of years. Like our history is so false. We've been in slavery. If you go all the way back through the Electric Wars, the Lyran Wars, there's been a lot of manipulation, abuse, corruption, raping, pillaging, slaughtering throughout our galactic history for a long time. And it's ingrained in our DNA. And we're here on Earth right now. And it's what I feel is like, this is the last stand. There's nowhere else really to go in our galaxy, in our universe. This is it. Here on planet Earth right now, millions of souls who have fought these wars for a very, very, very long time are here on Earth right now to come together, to stand our ground and say no to the tyranny, to all of the stuff that we've been enduring for a long time. You know, every 13,000 years, the Jedis come to Earth. And we're in that 13,000 year period right now. And so you've got a lot of brave souls on here right now on planet Earth that have been through this stuff. They fought the wars. They've got the tools, the wisdom, and the knowledge to open stargates, open portals, close them, to connect to certain frequencies, to heal. Like, there's so many people on this planet right now that have these abilities. and they're fed up. And these codes are awakening inside of them. They're royal codes, they're king codes, they're queen codes. And people aren't going to put up with it anymore. The souls that are waking up are so powerful, and they just know their sovereignty. They know what they're capable of, and they're not going to bow down to the structures anymore. They're prepared to die. They're prepared to die for the mission. They're prepared to die for the cause. They value themselves. They value their friends, their family. They value their sisters and brothers of earth. They know how important the sacred children are that are coming down here with all their multidimensional abilities and these incredible codes that they've been carrying for the last few years. Lions are waking back up. Lionesses are waking back up. And that's why there's such a massive attack right now on masculinity. Men are being forced into pornography. Well, forced isn't the right word, but railroaded strongly into pornography, into drugs. They're becoming keyboard warriors. They forgot how to hold space for their queen, for their lioness. Men are just becoming so fragmented and fractalized at the moment, and they're losing themselves. But there are a lot of powerful men waking up that do know how to hold the space for the divine feminine inside their own bodies and externally in another being. And so kings and queens are coming together. And when a king and a queen come together and they have their inner twin flame union activated, those two souls in physical human form become a portal for higher consciousness, for high frequency technologies that are coming through the twin flame relationship or the divine union relationship into planet Earth. So sovereignty is so big right now because people are just ready. People have had enough. And, you know, I mean, even with myself, like with Star Magic, since we started, 8 weeks before Star Magic started, they tried to kill me in a car crash. I started Star Magic and I got arrested and the case was funded by the cancer charities. They tried to lock me up and put me in prison, you know, like, but I just see all this as a positive thing. If they're coming after me like this, it means that I must be doing something right, and it inspires me to do even more. Like anyone that is carrying high levels of light, the system comes after them, but they're coming after souls that won't back down. They're coming after souls that have seen this stuff many, many times. And so people want sovereignty, but they not only want it, they're claiming it. They're deciding it. They're choosing it. They're commanding it. No one's asking anymore. No one's praying anymore. The universe doesn't respond to begging. It responds to kings and queens and Jedis and sovereign alchemists that know who they are, that have cracked the code and are ready to go full throttle and lean into the process of creating sovereignty on planet Earth. And many, many people are feeling this way at the moment. And when you feel it in your bones, you can't say no to it. You can't run from it. You got to lean into it and go from it. Come heaven or high water, whatever stands in your way, you're going to go through it, over it, around it. There's no backing down. There's just, we are doing it, and that is it. And so it's right on everybody's lips. It's deep in everyone's heart. It's deep in everyone's cells. And it's so potent and so powerful. And that's why everybody's talking about it. It's why people are feeling it right now. And this comes from soul experiences that we've had billions of years ago. I remember being on Avion in the Lyran system when the Draconians invaded and they slaughtered so many of our species. You know, I remember lots of these experiences from my galactic lineages on other planets, and people are fed up. It's happening again here right now on planet Earth. And you know, we've got to create our own systems, new structures, new ways of being, and we've got to start leading ourselves out from where we are right now and creating a whole new planet. And it creates it requires sovereignty to make it happen, because unless you're on that frequency of sovereignty, you're going to keep saying yes to the system. People might say, you know what, we're going to create this, we're going to create that, but at the first sign of danger or the first sign of like onslaught or pullback, you know, maybe a bank says no to you, maybe the system comes at you, maybe the police come at you, and people start backing down because they're not prepared to weather the storm. But a sovereign being doesn't give, excuse my French, an absolute flying fuck what the system says. They're just going to do what they need to do to make it happen. And there are so many people waking up and feeling like this right now. And this is what we need. This is what we require. This is where it's at. Lions and lionesses, prides of them all over the planet coming together and starting to rule the kingdom again.
Well, I can see why you lead a movement, Jerry. You are so inspiring. Thank you for that. I couldn't agree more. I think a lot of people are waking up to the idea that we have so much more power than we're constantly looking for somebody outside of ourselves. You know, in the United States, we're going through a lot of governmental shifts and changes, which kind of are reflecting that people are ready to take back more of our power. So I appreciate your words on this subject. I don't know if you've heard, but we have a documentary that came out last week called The Age of Discovery, or I'm sorry, The Age of Disclosure. And it is basically, I think, 6 different departments in the United States government admitting and talking about our interaction with extraterrestrial forms of life and the massive cover-up that has gone on. And if anybody's listening and hasn't seen it, you absolutely have to see this documentary, The Age of Disclosure. You talk very openly about your interaction with extraterrestrial life. And what can you tell us in terms of what is it important for us to know right now about our interaction with intelligence that's off of our planet?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think everybody has to use discernment first and foremost. You know, a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the extraterrestrials to come down and meet us and greet us and blah blah blah." And that's beautiful, and we should be open to it. But at the same time, there are some extraterrestrials that aren't so pleasant. And a lot of the time, it's the negative ones that are interacting with humanity, especially here in this dense environment. So you can't just trust something because it comes into your space. Now, at the same time, there are some beautiful species out there that are helping humanity, that are holding space for humanity, that are making sure governments don't let off their rockets and their bombs and their crazy technologies. You know, they're looking after us. There are a lot of species that are clearing out underground bunkers, underground bases that have been used by demonic forces, military forces for a very long time in countries all over the world. So there are a lot of beings supporting us and helping us. But at the same time, we have to use discernment when we're engaging, because something that looks really peaceful, something that feels like love and ecstasy and bliss may not be. So you have to just use discernment. I mean, a big part of our training is showing people how to know if something is good or something is not so good. I mean, good and not so good. I mean, good and bad, they're bad terminologies, you know? It's just frequency. You know, there's the correct frequency. There's frequency that is going to help your vibration and interact with you in a positive way, and frequency that's going to interact with you and not be so positive. And we have to really, really get to know this. You know, the system is rigged in so many different ways. When we leave our physical bodies, the game doesn't end. When we go to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th dimension, all the way up the chain, there is dark and light. It's just the way that it is. There's corruption at all different levels. So when you're interacting with any being, just use discernment. And if a being does come into your space, what I would do is put them in like a chromium octahedron, and really amplify this chromium frequency, spin the octahedron clockwise and leave the being inside of it for a minute, you know, whatever it is, and just keep it there for a while. And if the being stays inside that chromium frequency, um, they're going to be a being that you can communicate with. If the being's inside that frequency and you see a little bit of a blemish in their architecture, or they just go, then you know that they were never good in the first place. Kaleidoscopic chromium is an Andromedan frequency, and it has every single color range in it. That's why any being that you put inside of it, or wrap the frequency around it in some kind of geometry, they're not going to be able to shapeshift fast enough for you for them to be in there unseen. You're going to catch them at some point if you just stay focused. So it's about knowing how to see if something is real or not so real. So there are many interactions taking place. There are beings helping our governments at the moment, good beings. There are also beings working with the government that aren't so good. You know, like the game is just, it's a crazy game that we're playing right now. And this spiritual war that we're in has been going on for billions of years, billions of years. And planet Earth is a place where it's really rife. And so we have to really understand our own energy. We have to really watch our thoughts. We have to understand our own feelings and emotions. Like the feelings in our body, the emotions in our body aren't always our own. The thoughts inside our head are not always our own. They could be programs, they could be beings from other, they could be thoughts from other beings. There's just so much going on, and the only way you're going to really sort of grasp all of this stuff is if you learn to be still. The stillness is where it's at. When everything's still, you can start to read the energy. You can start to understand where you're at. If you start to shift, you can trace it back through the field and see where that shift originated from. And, you can just change things. This is a big question you're asking me, and there's many, many answers I could give for it. But ultimately, what I would just say is use discernment. That's the most important mission critical factor. Don't just believe anything in your space. Question everything.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And just getting more attuned to frequency management, right? Just understanding the way frequency works and how energy works, because it bleeds into every aspect of our life, every aspect of our consciousness, every aspect of our being. So I love that you are constantly bringing us back to how we can manage that within our own bodies. And I love how much you talk about the health of our bodies. I mean, you're you post a lot of pictures in the gym and working out and eating right and all of that kind of stuff, and that's such an important role as well. But let's go into I'm so interested to hear more about your healing centers, because I know that's something that you've been talking about for a long time. So talk to us about what your plan is for your healing centers and where that stands right now.
Yeah, that's cool. Before I do that, I'm just going to touch upon this thing you're talking about, health in the body, because it really
Okay.
is so important just to touch upon. Because the frequencies on the planet are shifting and amplifying all the time, and our physical architecture has to be able to hold the electromagnetic currents. And so, if you're not looking after your body, if it's not mentally, emotionally stable, if it's not physically fit, these new energies that are coming to the planet are going to fry people's nervous systems, and they're not going to be able to upgrade. They're not going to be able to do the work. They're not going to be able to activate their DNA properly. So you have to have a strong body. Doesn't mean that you need to be some kind of like Olympic sprinter or some kind of like massive bodybuilder. I'm not talking about that. I mean, you just need to be fit and healthy. You should be able to lift your body weight. Go out and run and jog and swim and just have at least a decent base level of fitness. It's so important. Stop putting crap food into your body. Like, give your body what it needs. If you listen to your body, it will tell you exactly what it needs. I'm not saying you should be vegan. I went vegan for 6 years. It destroyed my body. I know some people thrive on it. Me, I just kind of eat like rare steak and pineapple and some supplements. And that's pretty much all I eat. Other people have different things that they eat, and everybody's got to listen to their body. But training your body, keeping it strong, fit, keeping your mind clear, your nervous system regulated is so important. Yeah. The healing centers. So in 2016, after we started Star Magic, I was meditating on a hill, and I was looking out over the town where I was living at the time, and it just disappeared. And I saw the Christ consciousness grid of the planet, and I saw all of these dots, and there were 13 dots. And then this blue being landed next to me called Derekwai, and Derekwai actually visited me when I was living in New Zealand, and I was meditating in the pyramids, and he took me in his spacecraft to Alpha Centauri, and that's where I met my Lyran family and got my codes, well, not my codes, but the codes they gave to me to start which became the Star Magic kind of energetic healing modality. So going to what was the question you asked me again? I just lost my train of thought then.
Just about
Oh
the
yeah, the
healing
healing
centers and
centers.
what the
Yeah,
plan
the
is
healing
for it.
centers. Yeah, the healing centers. So I went on this kind of like journey to get all of these codes, and when I was looking out over the hill, over the town that had disappeared, I see these healing centers, and Derekwai, he says to me, you need to build these. They're healing centers, and I said to him, like, how am I gonna manage 13 healing centers? He said you need to train people. And so I ran home and I designed this training program. And we did our first facilitator training the following year. And then since then, it's just grown all over the planet. But that is how the idea came to build these things. And then at the time, like we just started Star Magic, and I had to let go of my old world. And when I let go of my old world, everything had to go down to the money, cars, whatever it was. I had to go back to zero. So I started with fresh, clean energy. So when I started Star Magic, I pretty much had nothing. And I was thinking to myself, well, how the heck am I going to do this? It seems like a great idea. But anyway, we started building the business and we started making money. And then over the course of the next few years, we just started buying lands. And these bits of land came to us in really strange circumstances. Like there was a guy that had a brain tumor from Madeira, and the doctors told him he'd be dead in 8 weeks, and he's still alive 7 years later. We helped facilitate the healing of his brain tumor, and then he introduced us to the president of Madeira. We got this bit of land that was off the market, which had a portal on it. We bought it. Then we ended up getting a bit of land in Romania, again with a portal on it. And we bought all the land around it, 32 acres. And now we're building our first centre at the moment in Transylvania. We've bought land in the UK. And we've just been buying these bits of land all over the world and designing these healing centres. We've been working with an incredible architect that downloaded this sacred geometrical building architecture. And when I got introduced to him and looked at the mathematics of it, the mathematics that he was running on the buildings were the same mathematics that we were using in our healing modality. So we just kind of joined forces and created all these amazing buildings. And now we're in the process of building our first one. And the idea is that we build 13. Each one of them is on a very specific grid point, and each one of them links to a body part. There's 13 constellations in our zodiac, not 12. The first center we're building is Ophiuchus, which is the 13th constellation, which links to the human nervous system. So we're putting the nervous system into the earth first, and then we'll put all the body parts around it afterwards. So the idea is that we have the human body, bringing the stars to earth through these healing centers. The healing centers will create like a grid around the planet that will elevate consciousness in a way that consciousness has never been elevated before. And it's going to hold a new piece of architecture around the planet. Now, when people come into these buildings, because of the frequency that they're built with, they're just going to heal people. That's even before we start doing any of the work that we're doing as facilitators in our trainings and our meditation groups, etc. So yeah, these healing centers are going to completely shift humanity. They're incredible. I mean, inside one in Romania, it's going to sleep 111 people that come for trainings. We've got another 13 houses that we're kind of selling as memberships to people. So people can buy a membership in the healing center and they can come and stay for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks for eternity. So basically they come, they can heal, they can bring their family, and when that person or that couple passes back to spirit, it gets passed on through a trust to their children. So it becomes like a piece of their legacy in their family. So, and also when people come and they buy a membership, they can switch their membership out from Romania to America, or America to Costa Rica, or Costa Rica to Australia that year, and they can go and stay somewhere else. There's going to be horse healing, yoga, exercise, biohacking, meditation. There's going to be beautiful restaurants. Like the place is just fully equipped. It's going to be incredible. Nothing like it on planet Earth. If you go to the website ophiuchushealingcenter.com, you can actually look at the videos and see what it's like. So yeah, we're so excited about these healing centers. It's been a little bit of a crazy journey to get to the point of getting planning permission and building them. There's been a lot of, I would say, like interference on some levels, but that's the game that we're playing, and it's the path that we need to navigate. And there's been so many things trying to stop us, but like I was saying earlier, we're sovereign, and nothing is going to stop us. So we're just excited about being able to offer these to humanity and help people heal. And another main reason that we're building them, and this is something I don't really speak about a lot, but it's for the children. Like the children coming to Earth right now have a completely different energetic system than a lot of us adults. They have a chakra system, 7 chakras. They have 13 multidimensional transmission centers. And we as adults, when we're born, we have 7 chakras. That 7 chakra system model is a complete corrupt model, and it keeps people small. When people come to our level 1 training, we help them shift those 7 chakras and switch on their multidimensional ones. And that's when people start to shift from 3D to 5D and have a whole different human experience and carry a completely different signal. So in England, if you have a child that is showing like exceptional abilities, and if they're in school, the children will, so the teachers will tell certain factions of the government. They'll come and take the children from the parents. They'll put them into these homes, demonize them, get them addicted to pornography, drugs, all this stuff, and then send them back 4, 5, 6 years later, a completely different human, with no motivation, no inspiration. So what we want to do is to have a safe place for these multidimensional kids to come showcase their abilities, and where we encourage them and allow them to be who they truly are. And what I feel is going to happen in the not too distant future is that children are going to be teaching adults. These new children are going to be in the classrooms showing adults how to run this world, because they're the future. They're the ones that have the real knowledge. I mean, there are a lot of us waking up now and coming back online, but these children are a whole different level. So we want these healing centers to be communities and safe spaces where the children can really grow and flourish and help humanity in a huge way.
I actually have had 2 conversations recently with friends who are labor and delivery nurses that have said the same thing. They said kids are different these days. They're not coming in. And these are people who have been doing this job for, 20, 30 years. So I thought that was so interesting what they were saying, and it so supports that idea. And do you think it's because they're coming in with more of their DNA activated as well? They're not, having to go down to the 2-strand, but they're actually coming in with higher DNA strands working?
A lot of the children are coming in at 4, 5-strand activated. Some of them higher. Some of them are still coming in 2, 3 strands, but their energetic body is so different. Their auric field is on the inside of their body. They've got all of their multidimensional chakras switched on. Their pineal gland is operating differently and connecting to the field in a different way. Like, you can't manipulate these children. These children are just like, that to the teachers, in school, they won't listen. I mean, I put my children in school for the first couple of years of their life in England. Then we moved to New Zealand, and the schools over there are so different. They don't wear shoes. It's all outdoor fun stuff and, stuff that can really help them grow. When we came back to England, it was like putting our kids into prison. So I pulled them out of school because I was down the school every day, and the teacher's like, well, Josh won't listen to me. He's telling me that the history that I'm teaching him is false. He's telling me that, this and that, and he won't go to detention. He said he just won't listen. I said, I don't know what to do. I said, well, I agree with him. And it was just going on and on. So we pulled them out of school and just, they traveled with me all over the world starting Star Magic and had a much better education. But these children that are coming to the planet, they don't care. They're not going to put up with the BS. They're not going to put up with the false indoctrination. I mean, look at the word education. I mean, education means to impart knowledge. Imp is the devil's art, So education is it's indoctrination. It's the devil just casting its spells over our children. So why would you want to put your kids into an environment like that? Now, at the same time, you put one of these new stark seeds that are really elevated, these new crystalline children, they're not going to put up with the devil's art because they just blitz it with their light. They blitz it with their frequency. But the thing is, these new kids that are coming down, they're often with parents that are pretty woke. So the parents aren't going to stick them in there anyway. They're going to put them into, some other kind of space, whether it's like a homeschooling place for mums and dads that are homeschooling their children, or they might just keep them at home and let them play in the woods, in the garden, give them creative things, pens, paint, whatever it is, just to be creative. Let them do what they want, So it's a whole different kind of like dynamic that we've got going on right now. And these children are really shaking things up. And there are some children that are coming down into parents that really aren't able to handle them. These children that are coming down are so powerful, and they're running rings around their mums and dads. You've got another load of children that are coming down that are in like Down syndrome bodies, maybe mentally handicapped bodies. And these kids are there for a very specific reason. They're like beacons of light that are just pouring crystalline code into the space. So these children, they just kind of sit there, but they're so happy. They're full of joy. We might be at a mind, body, spirit festival, and you'll get, a mum and a dad, or they'll come up to us, or just the mum or just the dad, and the kid will be in a pushchair or whatever. And they're like, please help little Johnny. And he's not like all the other kids. We want him to play football. We want to do this or whatever it is. And I tune into the child and start crying because their energy is so beautiful. They're so pure. And so they're coming down into these bodies that just sit there like pillars of crystalline gold, just positively changing the frequency in the space and just amplifying the energy field. So wherever the mum and dad takes them, they just have a profound effect on humanity. And there's a lot of these kids coming down to the planet right now, and a lot of mums and dads don't like it, but the mums and dads are also learning lessons from it too, about acceptance and different things, and love.
Well,
And
we pick our parents, right? So there's no accident there. They chose exactly the souls that they meant to come in to be guided by. So I find some peace in that for sure.
absolutely.
So I would love to go back to some of the work that you do with sacred geometry and breath work and holographic light, and how do these elements work together?
We've developed a very specific breathwork routine which no one else on the planet is doing. There are a few groups actually that have been to our trainings and have been to our group healings that adopt those breathwork techniques because they're so powerful. At the back of the neck, you've got something called God's mouth. It's a portal. And if you go to a church, you see priests wearing those big collars. And the reason that priests wear those big collars is because they think demons are going to come in and attack them through the back of the neck. And actually, if you were a demon, it's a great place to attack someone. But what we do is we use this portal that we call God's mouth for positive purposes. So we'd be at a group healing experience, for example, and we'd have, we do different group healings at either 55, 90, 111, 144, 333 people. So let's say, for example, we've got 333 people in a big circle. We get them to go through this breath work. It's very, very specific. And then as they go through the breath work, they're priming their body. The light goes into the cells, into their computer code, and brings all of the toxicity, all the old programs and patterns up to the surface. Then we'll go over to the human being, take their hands, they'll have blindfolds on, we'll lead them into the middle of the space, and we put our hands over the pineal gland and over God's mouth, and we run very specific frequencies in through the back of the neck. They go up into the pineal gland. The master cell in the pineal gland downloads the codes into the cells of the body of that particular human. What happens is the old programming starts to dissolve. The frequency runs through our hand and it circles, and you get this really strong magnetic pull against the back of the neck and the hands as the frequency is running and downloading. As soon as it's downloaded, the human being, they might fall forwards, they might fall backwards, we'll lower them down to the ground, and they'll have like a biological upgrade. In seconds and minutes, cancer disappears, they get up from their wheelchairs. Like this system that we've created is so profound, and it works. When people apply themselves to the breath work, we run the frequency. The frequency contains code, the code contains holographic light, and it just happens. It's like magic, but really it's not magic, because if you look at the word magic, if you look at the word alchemy, they just mean the same thing as physics. It's all mathematics. Like, people are running a certain frequency on this planet. Most people are running what we call the Fibonacci mathematics. 0 plus 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 and 5 is 13. So 8 has to consume 5 and 3 to make itself. 13 has to consume 8 and 5 to make itself, and so on. So the number that is being created has to eat the preceding numbers. There's no connection back to the 0 point. It's like the dog-eat-dog world that we live in. If I'm going to climb the ladder, I'm going to step on Delphine's head to get up, and I don't care about what happens to Delphine. That's how business has been for many, many years. That's how people have operated. The new frequency is the crystalline code. 0 plus 1 plus 1 is 2. 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 equals 16. So 16 is a culmination of all the preceding numbers. Then 32 is a culmination of all the preceding numbers. So there's always a connection to the 0 point. With the Fibonacci mathematics, the spiral, as it gets further away from the 0 point, it entropies and it collapses. The crystalline mathematics just gets stronger and brighter and more powerful. So when we're running the codes in through the back of someone's neck, we're changing them from the Fibonacci mathematics to the crystalline mathematics, and we activate the real crystal spiral. which is the real flower of life. A lot of people say the flower of life is God, and they're looking at that 6-petaled lotus. It's absolute BS. The 7th-petaled lotus is the real flower of life, the crystal code, and that 7th petal is the breath, the electrical out breath and the magnetic in breath, the masculine, the feminine, the electrical, the magnetic. It's that 7th petal that brings the flower to life. And everybody's looking at the 2-dimensional flower of life and the 6 petals as God. It's crazy, but this is where people are at with their frequency. The real crystalline code is what happens, is what gets activated when we work with star magic. So in April this year, I think it was either April or May, we were in Barcelona in Spain, and we had a gentleman that came with his wife. The wife was English and the guy was from France. They both lived in France. He was paralyzed down one side of his body, and he had been paralyzed for 18 months. He had a stroke. So he came to the group healing experience. He was doing the breath work as best he could with being paralyzed down one side of his body. I worked on him 2 or 3 times. A couple of other facilitators worked on him. We ran the frequency through his neck. On the second day of the group healing, he just stood up from his wheelchair and started walking. How is that possible? Well, we changed the mathematics. Like, the best part about this story was what was his wife's reaction. So he was over in the corner, sat in his wheelchair. She was sat there in meditation with an eye mask on. And I walked over to her. I got right down next to her. I whispered in her ear, "You're walking." And she kind of like froze like a rabbit in headlights. She didn't turn. She didn't do anything. I could see she was just kind of like, the information was just too much. And then she turned to me, took up her eye masks, looked around at her husband, but her husband was sat back in the wheelchair by this time. So she ran over to him, she jumped on him, she straddled him, she's kissing him, she's hugging him. And then she realized, I've not seen you walk yet. So she jumps off him, she stands by the side and she's like, is this real? Are you lying to me? Are you winding me up? And anyway, he gets up from the wheelchair and starts walking in front of her. And she starts jumping up and down like a little kid. Like, it was like she just won the most incredible gift that anyone could ever give her in the universe. And I saw the weight drop off of her, and I saw her like bathing him, wiping his ass, putting his shoes on, putting him to bed, like feeding him. Like, all of that stuff had just fallen away, and she got her life back, and now she could be back with the man that she loved, and they could just carry on their life together. Like, watching all of that unfold in front of my eyes was like mesmerizing. And it's not the first time, it's happened so many times. If you go to our website, starmagichealing.org, you can watch the videos, you can watch it all happen and unfold yourself in real time. Like, these things happen regularly, and it's just about changing the mathematics, activating the right code, switching on the DNA, activating the right blueprint, and then boom, things just shift. And it doesn't have to take days and weeks and months. It can just happen like that. As soon as you hit the right frequency, boom, it just shifts.
What's that like on a personal level for you, Jerry? I mean, when you see these experiences in people, and you see where the path your life has taken, and you see the impact that you've been able to make, I mean, what does that feel like on a personal level?
I mean, every time I see these experiences happen, it makes me so, like, I don't know, it's just like every time it's like special. Even if you see it all the time, like, you don't think, oh yeah, another day at the office. You're like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, and it's just amazing to witness. In terms of like what's happened for all the people that we've healed and stuff, and people that have been through our workshops and trainings and online memberships, I am never satisfied. Like, I just want to facilitate the healing of more people. Right now, not every human being on planet Earth knows about star magic, and for me, that's unacceptable. So I want to be in everybody's household. I want everybody to know these tools and skills, because if everybody knew how to use these tools and skills, there would be no hospitals, there would be no ill people, there would be no unhealthy people. Family relationships would be beautiful. Like, everybody would just be having a great time on this planet. So I just want everybody to know about it, and everybody to get to understand these skills. But right now, not everybody does. So I'm never complacent. I just want to go to the next level, I mean, Star Magic has just merged with a full media company. 17 people have just joined our company, developers, ad creators, video editors, a whole company is just merged with us so we can go to that next level. So 2026 is going to be awesome for us. I just want to reach more people, help more people, unify more people, and just take it, to the next level. And once we're in everybody's household on planet Earth, we'll go to another planet and we'll do the same thing there. We're just not going to stop.
And what's so funny about it is you would think that this would make nighttime news. You would think this would be the biggest news story on the planet, that people can heal their bodies, that people can take control of their lives, that they can transition into a new level of frequency and consciousness. I mean, what story is bigger than that? And yet it's just so surprising that these are that you have to work so hard to even get people to hear it, much less believe it and understand it, right?
Well, healthy people don't make money. For big pharma, for the corporations, for the system. So they want to keep people unhealthy. I was saying earlier, I mean, they tried to put me in prison for healing people with cancer, but, cancer, a country's GDP is partially measured by how many people have cancer. So the more cancer there is in a country, the more that country is worth. A doctor gets between a $5,000 and $12,000 commission for administering chemotherapy. This is business. This is sales. So they're always going to try and suppress this. And that's why we just have to just do what we need to do to keep working, creating, and making it happen. And it's getting out there more and more. It's still not fast enough, but, we're making a difference. And I truly feel that more and more people are starting to know about these technologies. And if we just keep spreading it, we're going to reach a point where it just goes like a tsunami. And that's why us taking on this new media department was important. And we've always had a few in-house creators and stuff, and it's been great, but we've never been able to go to the extent that we needed to go to. And I've been looking for a couple of years for the right people with the right energy, with the right mentality, the right heart set to join Star Magic and take us to that next level. But it's been very difficult because no one's really got the enthusiasm and the passion and the drive to be able to hang with us, because we're just on a mission. But now we found the right people. So we're going to start getting out there, and the world's going to be shocked in the next sort of, I would say, 12 to 18 months, what we're going to be achieving. So a lot more people are going to start finding out about this stuff, and it just brings a massive smile to my face,
Yeah, do a documentary. Have them follow you around and do a documentary so we can all see a day in the life. I don't know if you've seen Source the film, the Joe Dispenza documentary, where they followed his retreats around and saw the amazing impact that that's making. But I think we need more information about coming out, and so that people can fully understand. For people who've been asleep up to now, I mean, and hopefully if they're hearing this, it's because their higher self is on a mission to wake them up. But it's really hard for people to wrap their heads around this kind of information. It's so different than what we've been how we've been trained and what we've been taught. And so, but I think you're right. I think now is the time, and I think 2026 is going to be a huge opportunity for people to embrace this new way of thinking and this new concept. What does it look like if somebody wanted to come in and do some Star Magic training? What would they have to be prepared for?
Our level 1 training is 5 days plus 2 bonus days. You can do it in person or you can do it online. The online one is just an evergreen product where we recorded it really professionally, and they can just go in and go through it. The in-person one, obviously it's in person. Some people prefer to do it online. Some people just want to wait and do it in person. Both have got their pros and their cons. But you're going to come to the training, and you're going to go through a process, and the process is going to recode your DNA. It's going to activate your pineal gland, your Merkaba field, your Kundalini frequency. It's going to really turbocharge these physical and multidimensional elements of you. So you're going to get upgrade after upgrade. You're going to heal at a profound level and be a different human being when you leave. As well as that, you're going to get a bunch of tools, a whole healing arsenal of tools that you can use to heal yourself, other people, groups of people, animals, whatever it is. And so you're going to leave that level 1 training fully equipped to go out into the world, start your own healing business, add the tools to your existing healing business, or just use it to heal your friends, your family, relationships, whatever you want to do, turbocharge your business. You can apply it to everything. To get ready for the training, we've got an online membership called Infinity, and inside Infinity you've got meditations, light language transmissions, cosmic yoga, breath work, nutrition, mystery school teachings. We meet every Monday and Wednesday on Zoom for activations and meditations. There's a whole heap of tools in there, and there's everything you need to go on your ascension journey. So what we recommend people do is they join it and they just start listening to the meditations just to adjust their frequency, so when they come to the training they don't get hit like a steam train, because the frequency is going to be different if you've never used it. Like, we've trained Reiki masters that have been in this field for 50 years, quantum healers, bioenergy healers, reconnective healers, people from all different healing modalities, and some people that have been through every healing modality. And they come to Star Magic and they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for, because it's the next level. I came straight from being a criminal into Star Magic, so I've never done any other healing modalities, so I don't know what they're like, but I can only speak from what other people have told me. And everybody just says this is where it's at, So if you're a complete beginner or you're an experienced veteran, we'll meet you where you're at and we'll take you up multiple levels. So just come along and try it out, and when you do join the training, or even before you join the training, you can speak to one of our team on the phone or on Zoom or on WhatsApp. You can have a conversation, you can ask any questions. There's bundles of videos that we can send you to watch. There's so much information that you can do your research, and if you want to do it, give it a whirl. If you don't want to do it, that's cool. You'll come back when you're ready.
And since probably the majority of our audience is in the United States, you do trainings in the US as well, right?
Yeah, we've done multiple trainings in the US, multiple group healings, workshops, plant medicine retreats. We've been to the US so many times. I'll be back there in February at the Conscious Life Expo speaking. So if anyone wants to come and connect, come and see us.
It sounds wonderful. Jerry, I so love this conversation. I'm so appreciative of the work that you're doing and the light that you're bringing. And thank you so much for being a part of the summit and for being such an inspirational person on the planet.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute honor to be with you. Thank you for inviting me onto your platform, and to everybody listening, just thank you so much. I love you all, and just remember, have an amazing life. Don't judge anyone, be in acceptance, and just go for it. Don't hold back.
We're so grateful you joined us for this episode of Delphine Circle. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share. And for even more connection, sign up for a free community membership at harmoneum.com. See you there.